Hello again, everybody. Welcome back. It's time for our maths session today. And today's one is going to be our final maths session on money. So we've been working really hard on money for the last few weeks. I really hope that at home you've been engaging with this, and you might even have been getting some coins out. You might even have been looking at catalogs and looking at things online. Hopefully you've been really thinking about money and really immersing yourself in this unit and extending your learning at home. We are going to today be doing the hot task, which hopefully you've been kind of keeping up with this idea. At school, we do a hot task at the end of a unit to kind of summarize everything we've learned about and to try to see how much we've been able to retain and how much of this we can usefully apply. If there's any elements today that you're finding a little bit tricky, hopefully that will kind of guide you and steer you on what you might need to have a bit more practice on. And so it's a really useful kind of informative bit of assessment that you can use at home. And if there are questions that you're struggling with, that will kind of steer you towards the areas that you might need a little bit more work on. So hot task today. I wanted to start with a couple of questions that might just kind of be useful or might help you out a little bit today. Obviously, yesterday we recapped and revised some of the different methods and strategies we might use. Here are a couple more things which I think either might be useful today or, as is the case in this first one, kind of focuses on a common mistake that I've been seeing quite a lot. So we were very fortunate recently in the JYS staff room to receive this particularly delicious looking parcel. It was very kindly donated by the Friends of the School, so thank you very much to anyone that was involved in that. We had a lovely delivery of Pretty Little Cake Company brownies, which I have to say went down a big hit. Thank you very much. So here's a question similar to that. So Mr. Mass has £10. He says, if I spend £3.50 on a brownie, I will get £7.50 in change. And this is something I'm seeing a lot. So this is why this has come up today. So I've said explain his mistake here, which should already give you a clue that it's wrong, it's not actually right. I want us to really think about A, why it's wrong, and B, how we could effectively explain it. Because often you are asked to explain things like this, and it's often not good enough just to sort of give the right answer. We actually need to say what's gone wrong. So I wanted to sort of hone in on this a little bit and see how we could do that effectively. So I think the first thing to say is let's actually work out what the mistake is. Now, the question tells us already that there is one. So I think it'd be useful for us to actually have a think about what it is. What is that mistake? So when I get a question like this, I often actually like to work out what the right answer should be, because that will hopefully give you a bit of a clue as to what's gone wrong. So I think my preferred method here, I'm going to use a number line, I think. So I'm going to get one set up here. I'm going to be counting up from the £3.50. In fact, no, let's do it the other way around, because we showed counting up yesterday. And also, I think as we're subtracting not very much here, I think it'd be useful to use number line to go backwards. So I'm going to go back the £3.50 that's been spent, so we can see it in a slightly different way. So I want to go back £3.50 then. So let's go back the £3 first of all, because I think we can all do 10 take away 3, can't we? So I'm going to go back £3. And what do we get then? If we do 10 take away 3, what do we get there? Number bonds, £7. Okay, so we've gone back to £7. And then we need to go back another 50p, don't we? Apologies, I'm not going all the way to the end of the number line there. So I'm going to go back another 50p. Now, what's £7 take away 50p? Is it going to be more than £7, less than £7? Obviously less, so we're going to end up with £6.50. And that's how much change I should be receiving back. You see, this Pretty Little Cake Company, they're so good. Not only do they give you brownies, they give you extra money back in change as well. Lovely. Right, so £6.50 is what I should have been given back. I was thinking I was going to get £7.50. Right. So let's have a good think then. What was the mistake that I'd made here? I'll get £7.50 in change. What was the mistake I'd made? I can already see that my issue was with this digit here. So I think one good thing we could say in the answer is that it should be £6.50. But I think we can actually go a step further and really try to explain what had gone wrong. And I think really here, it looks as though we've looked at our number bonds a little bit too early. We've gone, right, 3 and 7 make 10, so it must be £7 there. 10 take away 3, it has to be 7. But it hadn't included the thought about the pence as well. It's really important that we don't just try to do this mentally sometimes, because actually we need to get those pence in there as well. And if we're trying to do things mentally and we haven't sort of fully considered it, we might make those sorts of mistakes like that, where we've mentally gone, right, 3 and 7 make 10, so it has to be that. I would really recommend using a number line for questions like that, so that we're definitely going to get it right. So if I was explaining the mistake there, I would say, it looks like he's used a mental method and has thought that 3 and 7 are a number bond to 10, but he'd forgotten the pence, and the answer should have been £6.50. Okay, next one is, I think, quite a tricky bit of problem solving, and you're going to see a question a bit like this at the end of today's hot task. So let's try to look at it together and see what we might be able to do with this. Tricky question this, so try and stay with me. Mr. Vass spends £12 on a coffee and a sandwich. The sandwich costs 3 times as much as the coffee. How could we work out the different costs of each? Really tricky one, this. Now, we've got quite a useful sentence here. The sandwich costs 3 times as much as the coffee. Well, that would be really helpful if we knew how much the coffee was, wouldn't it? If it said, right, the sandwich costs 3 times as much as the coffee and the coffee's £1, we'd know it really easily. But it doesn't actually give us the cost of either of them, which is going to make this hard for us. Let's look at a bar diagram. I think this will help us visualize what we've got here. Now, we know that the total cost of both items was £12. So we know that the sandwich and the coffee together are going to be £12 in total. It also says the sandwich costs 3 times as much. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to actually separate this up into 3 blocks, and that's going to represent my sandwich, and another 1 block, which is going to represent my coffee. Now, I'm actually just going to use some color coding here so you can sort of understand this a bit better. So my sandwich, I'm going to color in blue, and that's 1, 2, 3 of these blocks. Don't know what the blocks are worth yet, but I know it's 3 of them. And then my coffee, I'll do brown for coffee, is the remaining 1. So I haven't necessarily started dealing with numbers yet, but what I have done is actually visualize the fact that this sandwich, this blue bit here, costs 3 times as much as the coffee. And actually that's what I've got with the bars here, haven't I? I've got 3 times as many bars for the sandwich as I have for the coffee. It's 1 versus 3. Now you might be thinking, well, how's that actually going to help us? But you've seen here, this £12 is split up between 4. So what I could do here is I could split 12 into 4, or to put it another way, do 12 divided by 4 to see what each of these blocks would be worth. So 12 divided by 4 then. A couple of ways we could do this. If you know your times tables, you might be able to think about your number factors there. Probably some that could help you. Or we might be thinking about dividing by 4 as halving and then halving again. That would be fine. I'm going to think about my 3 times table. Actually, I know 3 times 4 is 12. And so I know 12 divided by 4 is 3. So each of these sections here is going to be worth, £3. So it's £3 for that section, £3 for this section, £3 here and £3 here. It's really important that these are all worth an equal amount, these sections, because we were talking about one being 3 times bigger than the other. Okay, so now we've got the cost of the coffee, haven't we? The coffee is £3. So then let's have a look at the sandwich. We know the sandwich costs 3 times as much. So that is 3 lots of 3. Again, multiplication knowledge, we know that 3 times 3 is £9. So we can say then that the sandwich has to cost £9 and the coffee has to cost £3. There we go. Okay then, so it's time for your hot task. You're going to try to tackle this yourself today. As I sometimes do, I'm going to have up the questions on here, and then I'm going to have the answers up at the end. Might need to pause for the answers. Let me see if I can do that. Let's give this our best go then. So I'm going to show you the questions. If you pause on each slide, and then we'll come back together at the end. Okay, and here we are with those answers then. Let's have a look together. So how did you get on? Hopefully you found this okay. Don't worry at all if there were any questions that you were finding a bit tricky, particularly those ones towards the end. Likewise, don't feel too bad about your score either way. This really is just an opportunity for you to kind of reflect on everything that you have done with money. So on the kind of original sheet, it always has this as well, circle how confident you're feeling. And actually, I think that would make a really good discussion for you at home. How confident are you feeling with this money maths that we've been doing over the last few weeks? Hopefully you're feeling good, but equally, if there's things that you're kind of going, oh, do you know what, actually I could still do with a bit more practice of that. Well, even that's okay, because you've learned something, haven't you? You've given yourself a bit of a steer about what you could do with a bit more practice on or a bit more time on, and that's really helpful as well. Okay, so well done for this. Tomorrow's maths lesson, we're going to be starting off on our next unit. So I will see you back here for that.